Hello, future officers. Welcome to today's session. Now, today's session is all about the trend analysis of GS paper 1 with regards to geography. Now, finally, one of the most awaited moments of any aspirant's life, that is the mains have begun. Yes, finally, we have the question paper with us. और सभी एस्पिरेंट्स ने एक कॉमन बात ज़रूर सुनी होती है अपनी जर्नी के दौरान, दैट इज़ we should stick to the syllabus, we should carefully analyze the previous year questions, also we should have a strong command over the current affairs. So let us try and analyze that whether all these things really matter, and if yes, how, right? So we begin by a quote that it may seem impossible today, be consistent, it will become an achievement tomorrow, right? So our discussion would be specifically with regards to geography, and geography was all across the paper. Whether it was history, even history questions had some sort of element with regards to geography. Even we have questions with regards to economic geography, population geography, and certain social issues which had geographical dimensions in them. So let us try and see all of these. So this was the question number first, that is, explain the role of geographical factors towards the development of ancient India. Now, this was a question pertaining to history, but it has a geographical element added to it, right? So, these were the 10 markers that were asked in today's paper. So, discuss the consequences of climate change on the food security in tropical countries. So, what are the consequences of climate change? Now, climate change again is an important issue. Next, question number 5th. Why is the world today confronted with a crisis of availability of and access to fresh water resources? Again, a 10 marker. Right. Next, how are the fjords formed? Now, this was one question which many students may have stumbled upon, but we will see all of these questions कि ये questions क्यों पूछे गए हैं, कहाँ से आए हैं, everything. So, how are the fjords formed? Why do they constitute some of the most picturesque areas of the world? Next, why is the southwest monsoon? Yes, why is the southwest monsoon called Purvaiya, that is easterly in Bhojpur region? And how has this directional seasonal wind system influenced the cultural ethos of the region? Now, again, this might be a surprise for most of the candidates who are writing mains this year. Right. Now, we will see one by one that how solving the PYQs is really important and how it actually matters in the mains. So, discuss the consequences of climate change on food security. Do we have similar questions in the past with regards to climate change? Definitely we do have, but that was asked in GS paper 1, year was 2017, that climate change is a global problem and how India will be impacted by the climate change, right? And specifically its impact on the Himalayan and the coastal state, it was asked. तो इस बार क्या पूछ लिया है, क्लाइमेट चेंज का इम्पैक्ट हिमालयास और इंडिया पे ना पूछ के क्लाइमेट चेंज का इम्पैक्ट फूड सिक्योरिटी पे पूछा है, राइट? Theme remains the same, question differs. Similarly, why is the world today confronted with a crisis of availability and access to freshwater resources? Now, UPSC has asked a number of questions with regards to freshwater, water resources, water as a resource. It is given in the syllabus also. You can have a look. In year 2015, what was being asked? India is well endowed with fresh water resources. So critically examine why it still suffers from water scarcity. 2016, effective management of land and water resources will drastically reduce the human miseries. Again, water resources. 2016 itself, in what way micro watershed development projects help in water conservation in the drought prone and semi-arid regions of India, again relating to water conservation, water availability, scarcity. 2018, the ideal solution of depleting groundwater resources is water harvesting system, how it can be made effective in urban areas. So क्या ये सभी के सभी क्वेश्चन एक ही थीम के ऊपर नहीं है? That why is the world today confronted with crisis of availability and access to fresh water resources? Yes, in these questions, India was at the center, but now they have asked about world, right? And this is not all. In year 2019, what is water stress? How and why does it differ regionally in India? Again, India was at the center, but still it was about water stress, water crisis only. Year 2020, how will melting of Himalayan glaciers will have far-reaching impact on the water resources? Again, the same thing, water resources. 2020 itself, interlinking of rivers, it can be a potential solution with regards to drought, floods, and interrupted navigation. Again, relating to droughts, something to do with water availability, right? Water availability. 2021, what are the environmental implications of reclamation of water bodies into the urban land use? Again, the same theme prevails year after year after year. So I hope you have gotten some sort of insights कि previous year questions क्यों कहा जाता है, why they are so important. Also, this question has something to do with the United Nations World Water Development Report that was also asked in prelims 2023, right? And India is the largest extractor of groundwater. So next question. So we won't be discussing the answers over here in this particular session. There would be more upcoming sessions, right, for that. Next, how are the fjords formed and why do they constitute some of the most picturesque areas of the world? Again, some of the students, they would have stumbled upon कि ये क्या पूछ लिया है अचानक से. And by the way, UPSC does ask these kind of questions related to landforms. Now, these are the landforms which are formed in the higher latitudes, and it is given, very much given, in the fundamentals of physical geography, class 11th NCERT, chapter number 7. So there is a mention of fjords. There is definitely a mention of fjords, but most of the students, they do neglect this particular chapter, right? And similarly, so this was asked, fjords, again landform. Also in year 2014, formation of thousands of islands in Indonesia and Philippines archipelagos was asked, again a kind of landform. So how are these formed? Important to keep in mind. It is asking about the formation. Again, it is asking about the formation. So whenever you are reading a particular landform, it becomes important to note their mode of formation, right? Next. Now, why is the southwest monsoon called the Purvaiya, and how does it has an impact, influence the cultural ethos of that particular region? Now, whenever we have a question with regards to monsoon, it is always applied in nature. It has never been straightforward कि आप explain कर दें southwest, northeast monsoon. No, it doesn't. UPSC doesn't ask this ways. In 2015, monsoon को कैसे पूछा था UPSC ने? How far do you agree that a behavior of Indian monsoon has been changing due to humanizing landscape? So it was not asking the mechanism of monsoon, but it was the applied part, right? Also, year 2017, what characteristics can be assigned to the monsoon climate that succeeds in feeding more than 50% of the world population residing in the monsoon Asia? So getting an idea कि UPSC monsoon से related, it is asking applied questions, not direct questions, right? Of course, we need to know what is the mechanism and everything involved. Next, now these are 15 markers. We have to answer these in 250 words. Comment on the resource potentials of the long coastline. Yes, basics. Long coastline 7517. And highlight the status of natural hazard preparedness in these areas. Natural hazard preparedness. Something to do with disaster management. We will see. Next, 15th question. Question number 15. Identify and discuss the factors responsible for diversity of natural vegetation in India. Also, assess the significance of wildlife sanctuaries in the rainforest regions of India. Very straightforward question. Next question, that is, how did human development fail to keep pace with economic development in India? Now, this is an amalgamation of human geography, economic geography. This is economics also. This is society also. Number of themes can be ascribed to this. So, question number 14. Comment on the resource potential of the long coastline of India and the status of natural hazard preparedness. If you have a look at year 2019, coastal sand mining, whether legal illegal, possesses biggest threat to our environment, right? And carefully, if you notice, analyze the impact of sand mining along the Indian coast. So I'm not saying it is directly related to it, but of course UPSC is concerned about Indian coast के बारे में ही question पूछा है, right? Also year 2022, last year only. Explain the causes and effects of coastal erosion in India and what are the available coastal management techniques for combating the hazard. Is it not in relation to this hazard preparedness in these regions? 2022 का GS पेपर 3, 2019 का GS पेपर 3 concerned about the Indian coastline. So it was some sort of repetition of 2022 itself. That is why it is often said that we should carefully analyze the previous year questions, right? Identify and discuss the factors responsible for diversity. Diversity क्यों है? Why is it so? Also, significance of wildlife sanctuaries, particularly in the rainforest regions of India. Year was 2018. How does biodiversity vary in India? Factors responsible for diversity of natural vegetation. Right. On similar lines, and Biological Diversity Act was asked. That was, of course, GS paper 3. 2020. Examine status of forest resources of India and the resultant impact on the climate change. Right. So the important rainforest regions of India. So if we prepare PYQs properly, then definitely we do have some sort of edge. Now, question number 17. From being net food importer in 1960s, India has emerged as a net food exporter to the world. Provide reasons. So definitely we have reasons for that, and we have come a long way. So this was being asked as a 15 marker. And finally, does urbanization lead to more segregation and marginalization of the poor in Indian metropolises? Now, urbanization as a topic, this metropolis, necropolis as a topic is studied separately in geography optional. It is studied even in geography optional. Certainly, it does have aspects relating to society, right? So these were some of the questions that were being asked, and also a question with regards to this urbanization, marginalization of poor. Not exactly relating, but somewhat relating. In 2015, smart cities in India, they cannot sustain without smart villages. Discuss the statement in the backdrop of urban rural integration. Again, this was asked in GS paper 1, right? So I hope you have got some sort of idea that what was the paper like. Apart from this fjord and this monsoon question, rest all the questions, they were pretty much standard and pretty much on the expected line itself, right? So that is it for now, right? We will come up with a detailed video with regards to the solution part also. Thank you and all the very best for the upcoming examination.